Alright, today I'd like to discuss clearing malfunctions in a pistol. This is typically going to be a semi-automatic weapon system, or for the intents of the video it's going to be completely a semi-automatic weapon system. Revolvers tend not to malfunction. If you do pull the trigger and nothing happens, you simply, on a revolver, pull the trigger again, it resets the firing pin, it resets just about every part of the weapon system, including a different round in front of the hammer. So we're going to look at semi-automatic weapon systems. The old adage, or I'm sorry, the old U.S. military way of clearing a malfunction is what we call tap, rack, bang. If you see, the weapon system I'm using is currently dry. All the magazines I have with me today are loaded with snap caps. These are non-firing replicas of bullets, exact size and weight, allow you to train and train effectively. And learn how to manipulate your weapon system without having all the problems of shooting your dog or your cat or your kid or any of that, putting a hole through the kitchen cupboards, whatever. So today, like I said, we're going to do function check. Drop the hammer, weapon system is set. The first version is what we call a tap, rack, bang. How that works is, if you have a magazine inserted, you pull the trigger, nothing happens, click, you're going to tap the magazine hard, you're going to rack the slide to the rear with a power stroke, and then you're going to press the trigger again and repeat as necessary. You'll see now, as I open this, I did in fact pick up a round, which solved the problem of the first type we're going to encounter. The first type of problem you're going to encounter is just that. You, for whatever reason, you didn't pick up the weapon system, you didn't check it, you didn't do what they call press check, which you just slide the slide open a little bit, visually inspect whether or not there's a round in the chamber. You pick it up, you point it at your intended target, and you press trigger, nothing happens. From here you're going to do what I like to call the 10-degree tilt. I've pressed the trigger, nothing happened, I'm going to tilt it back. I see that the weapon system isn't currently in battery. What battery means is the top of the chamber is level with the top of the slide of the weapon system. You don't see any error, and it's going to be tough to see, but if you have it just, you can see right here where it's you can see the black. It's pretty tough to see in the video, but that means the weapon system's out of battery, which means the bullet's not properly sealed. We'll get to that one in a minute. But for your first problem, obviously either you have a bad round in the chamber and or you haven't picked up a round into the chamber. So how you're going to correct that, the immediate corrective action for that, is you tilt it back, you look, you see weapon system's in battery, you know nothing's happened, so we're going to turn it over, we're going to tap the magazine hard. The most common problem you're going to have here is the magazine was not fully inserted when the slide went forward, therefore it didn't strip a round off the magazine and put it into the chamber. So we're going to tap it hard, rack the slide with a power stroke, and repeat. So now the weapon system should have fired. The next problem you're going to have, and I'm going to have a real hard time getting this specific weapon system to do it, is the gun did not go into battery. And there I got it to go. Okay, you'll see the weapon system is out of battery. You can see that the top of the chamber is down, it's not completely in. Now, U.S. military says how we cure this is tap, rack, bang. Kind of a waste of time. It's an excessive waste movement. Excessive waste movement in a gunfight will get you killed. All you have to do in this particular instance is tap the back of the slide, give it a good driving force forward. This is the same principle that the forward assist on an M16 is used. So from here, click, nothing happens. I look back, I see that I'm out of battery. So odds are it's trying to push a round into the chamber, and for whatever reason it's dirty or the round's a little bit swelled or whatever. From here I need to get this weapon system in service. For that you just hit the back. Now we're back in battery, click, we're good to go. The next problem that you're going to typically encounter comes from limp wristing the weapon system. You're going to get what's called a stovepipe. Typically a stovepipe is going to be with a spent round and not a full round as such. Get this idea of the stovepipe sticking up off the top. Now, back to the U.S. military. The U.S. military's answer to this is tap, rack, bang. However, I think that's more of an excessive waste movement. All you have to do in 99.9% of the scenarios where you get a stovepipe, the weapon system is trying to push another round already into the chamber. So all we have to do to clear this is rake your hand back across the top of the weapon system and strip that round off the top, and on the way back give it the hit in the back, give it a good seat, so you know you don't get an out of battery problem with the weapon system. So from here, pull the trigger, bang, that round has actually went off. Now I've got a stovepipe. Look, I see it. It's pretty obvious to identify there's your stovepipe. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide our hand across the top and rake it, and then go back and rake it again. I threw that round completely off, tap the back of the weapon system, press the trigger, we're ready to go. Probably the last and final problem you're going to encounter is what we call double feed. What has happened is, for whatever reason, the weapon system did not extract the bullet from the spent cartridge from the chamber, and it's trying to feed another one in behind it. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to try it a couple different angles here so you can get a look at it. But we have, I don't know if you can see it here, but we have a spent casing in the chamber, and then we're trying to push another one in on top of it. This is the worst problem you can have with a weapon. Excuse me. So, bang, press trigger, nothing happens. I tilt it back, I identify, I see, okay, I got a casing in the chamber, I've got another round trying to go in behind it. This is a double feed. So, the immediate action for a double feed, the first thing you have to do is lock the slide to the rear. Because you've created, with the slide forward, you've got forward pressure on the good round pressing in on the spent round, and it won't let it come out. See, if I press the magazine release now, the magazine doesn't want to come out. In fact, that's a pretty good pull on that to actually get that to work and get the magazine out. You've built mechanical pressure on the magazine and on the bullet, so the first thing we need to do to solve that is we've got to lock the slide to the rear and get rid of that spring pressure. So, let's set this back up here. So, I look up, I see, okay, I identify I have a double feed. First thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to lock the slide to the rear. Then I'm going to strip this magazine out, and preferably if you have extra magazines, and you should if you're carrying a weapon system, you're just going to strip this magazine away and throw it on the ground. In a not so perfect world, if you're trying to save your ammunition, or you got a limited amount of ammunition, or you need to reuse this magazine, you would strip it and hold on to it. So we're going to strip it, and I'm going to hold it down. Being these snap caps are not going to stick in the chamber, they never do. But ideally, when you would strip this, you would tilt the weapon system up and get gravity to work with you. But being that I want it to stay in there, I'm going to strip it from the down position. So I strip this magazine out, and I don't know if you can see that bullet's already partially forward of its seated position. So, there's that one. So the whole point of that is you strip this magazine out, whether you've thrown it to the ground or you're going to index it back into a mag pouch, or throw it in a dump pouch. And I'm not a big fan of dump pouches. Problem with dump pouches, and what dump pouch is it's a little bag you wear on your back in a combat system. That all your magazines that are partials that you pull out, you'll take them and you'll throw it into your dump pouch. The problem is with the dump pouch, if you're rolling multiple weapon systems and you're constantly throwing magazines to the dump pouch, when you go to start pulling stuff back out of the dump pouch, you start pulling it out and you go, oh, okay, there's a M16 mag, or there's a different magazine for a third weapon system, or there's a Twinkie, or whatever you got in your dump pouch. It isn't what you need immediately. So I prefer to stage my magazines and index them on my belt. I usually carry 3 spare magazines. So I'll move my good magazines forward, and I'll pull and seat the half magazines to the back. It's a whole other video. However, okay, we stripped our magazine out of this weapon system. Boom. We got we have our spare bullet, or we're going to keep this one. We've got our bullet still in there, so we're going to go ahead and hold on to that magazine. So I'm going to drop it into the first open slot I have, because I'm going to put this specific magazine back in this weapon system. Now we're going to rack the slide 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times or whatever it takes to get that bullet out of that spent casing out of that chamber. This one's going to come out on the first swing. They say in the dark to do it at least 3 times and then try and reach in and feel and see what happened. In a gunfight, it's big boy rules. If you see it or hear it, feel it come out, stop, lock slide to the rear, feed it in a new magazine, and go back to work. So we're going to rack the slide, and my round came out. Now I know the weapon system's got a clear chamber. Lock the slide to the rear, visually inspect, yeah, okay, I got it all out, problem solved. Turn the weapon system, feed it, power stroke it, now we're back in service. These are really the only malfunction drills you need to work on. These are the problems that can truly happen with your weapon system without them breaking. If your weapon system is to the point where you can't clear it with any of those drills, it's time to dump that one to the ground and start looking for another one to solve your problems with. I'm going to go back over those specific types of malfunctions again so everybody can look. The first one being on an empty chamber. You haven't seated the magazine fully. Press your weapon to the press trigger to the rear, click, nothing happens. 10-degree tilt, I see them in battery, tap, rack, bang, and I'm back in service. There's my bullet. Next weapon season, the next weapon problem we're going to run into is an out of battery malfunction. Like I said, it can be a number of different things cause the out of battery, but in our case, we're out of battery. As we can see, get a little bit of light on it. There you go. The chamber part has not moved level across the top of the slide, or however, in this specific weapon system, you need to know your weapon system and how your gun looks in battery. So I press trigger to the rear, I look back here, I can see that it slides back. I look up here, I can see that it slides a little bit back, so I know I'm out of battery. Immediate action, press it, click. Again, I've got my round in the chamber. The third problem we're going to have is the stovepipe. I need to get another round here, excuse me. Third problem we're going to have is the stovepipe. You can see we're going to start from a dry gun. We're going to start to slide that forward and get our problem here. Okay, we got our stovepipe. Click, nothing happens. I look up, I see my stovepipe. I'm going to rake the slide forward and back, or not the slide. You're not moving the slide. You're going to rake your hand across the top of that spent casing, and if you don't get it on the way up, you get it on the way back. So, click, nothing happens. Strip that round off. Click, we're back in business. And again, I had a round in the chamber. Our last and final problem here is going to be the double feed. Get that set up for you. Alright, there's our double feed. Trying to get you to see it again. We have a round stuck in the chamber and one trying to come up behind it. I'm going to do the strip and throw method because that's the one I prefer, and that's why I carry a lot of extra magazines. So, press trigger to the rear, nothing happens. Look, identify my double feed. Lock slide to the rear, strip it off, rack, 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 speed feed it. We're ready to go. Back again. And I had, again, have a round in the chamber. Enjoy your questions and comments. Anything you want to know, anything you think I missed. You're never too old to learn, and you never know it all. So if there's something I've just missed or an easier way to do it, I'd love to hear it. My malfunction clearing experience has changed over the years as I've learned better ideas from people that were more advanced in the shooting world than I am. And there's always somebody out there that is more advanced in the shooting world than you are, trust me. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll try and get another video along the lines of something that people want to see. If you've got requests for videos or want to see how I deal with certain situations, please put it up. If I've got an answer for it, I'll happily show you what it is. If I don't, I'll sure find somebody that does. Thanks for watching, and you have a good day.